non-otaku.
And those things seem to go together with the group that's in the show.
All right. Great job.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
Welcome back to 2 AM Otak. I am your host, Mayu, a born and raised Japanese non-otaku, and
I'm your co-host, Cisco, an American anime fan with over 30 years of fandom under my belt.
In this podcast, we share our reviews of anime and the manga through our distinct perspectives with commentary on Japanese culture, history, and the language. Cisco, you did a lot of research before our recording.
I don't know if I would say a lot, but I did more research than I have done before other recordings.
I hope you had a great time falling down the rabbit hole.
Oh, I support Wikipedia with like a generous donation every year because of how much I use it. So yes, I opened like 7 Wikipedia tabs simultaneously to make sure I remember the things that I tried to learn.
All right. So today we are going to talk about
Chi orb on the movement of this earth.
Before we start, please subscribe and follow 2AM Otak on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We also have a 2AM Otak YouTube channel, so make sure to follow us and get the latest episode all about anime and the manga. So we are going to talk about specifically episode 15, 16, 17, and 18. We have talked about previous episodes. So check the episode out if you haven't watched or heard. So yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So episode 15, there's a lot of twists in there. The scene happens right after Badeni and Oxy,
what is this ... They're ...
Yeah, disappear.
Disappear? Are we spoiling things or not?
Yes, we're spoiling.
They're dead.
They're dead. They're dead. And Novak is just burned in later. And then he got a news about his own daughter, Jolenta, that she ended up being a heretic and died. Later in the episode, Badeni basically planned everything beforehand, before he burned everything. He burned books and then all the notes.
He leaves a note for one of the other priests, I guess. Maybe it's hard to tell whether the guy is a priest or just a friar, a brother or a monk. But then he leaves him a note about a book of poetry or classical Greek poetry that he's been asking about, and also asks him to go take care of the homeless people they've been giving bread to. And when he goes there, the homeless people all shave their heads and show him that Badeni or someone Badeni hired or something has tattooed the text of Oxy's book about their work onto the back of their heads. Yeah, it's not Badeni's research. It's the book Oxy wrote about the research. And so it's not the specifics of how it works. It's an argument in favor of heliocentrism. Anyway, it's been tattooed on the backs of their heads. So when when their heads are not shaven, nobody knows it's there. But when they shave their heads, all of a sudden the text becomes visible. And that priest, I think, ends the episode with saying is it my turn now? And it's not clear what happens next, but it's definitely implied that he's going to rewrite the book essentially, on the basis of the manuscript that's been left on the heads of the people by Badeni.
So when I saw it, I was like, this is so golden comedy.
Yeah, it really does have that similar thing of we need to hide this information somewhere. Let's put it on people.
Right.
Which, I don't know, to me just seems like a terrible, terrible idea, honestly. At least here, you lose a page and it's not the end of the world, but it just feels so likely that at least one of the people that got the book written on them is going to die or disappear or move away, or literally anything that's going to make it impossible to understand what's going on anymore. So to me, it felt like an enormous risk. I get that it is a pretty good way of hiding the information, but it also just feels like so likely to not actually pass down the information accurately, you know?
Did it really happen?
No.
No.
This is firmly in the realm. I mean, I guess like I don't know. It's possible that somebody wrote a book about heliocentrism and then they tattooed it on the back of some homeless. I mean, like, but no, I don't think so. I've been trying to like decide what I think the story is based on, and I've come to like a more firm conclusion that it's not really based on anything. It seems like if anything, the theory that first Rafal, or the guy who teaches Rafal, and then Rafal like refines and puts in the stone box, and then Badeni finds, years later. And is there another guy in between Rafal and Badeni? Who's that?
The coworker who killed like other people too. He was
Oxy's coworker.
Yeah, Oxy's
coworker. But he doesn't like add anything to it because he does.
He did.
He had been observing Mars, right?
Yeah.
But like he's only in it for like a second. Like they find the stone box and he's like, this is brilliant. And then he immediately dies and like is like, go tell Badeni.
Right.
And then Badeni and Oxy and Jolenta do like a lot of work, taking Rafal's work plus the other guy's observations of Mars and like coming up with a much more fully formed theory. And so if anything, Badeni seems a little bit like Copernicus. Copernicus came up with a heliocentric theory, but was so afraid that it would get him in trouble that he never published it. So he doesn't get killed by the Inquisition. He just dies a natural death. And then his work is only published after he's dead. And lots of people read it. And he went, Copernicus tried really hard to say to the church, it's just a theory. I'm not actually believing this because I know it goes against church orthodoxy, but like a what if scenario. And he thought he was helping to like make the church more accurate in predicting stuff. So there's some similarities, I think, between him and Badeni in terms of the idea of the research getting published posthumously, like after his death, and in terms of him coming up with like that theory. But for sure, none of this took place in this way. And this is a really cool idea, and I like it.
So cool, yeah.
But it's not like a part of history.
I mean, if it's like really golden common way, like people can hunt those people, kill, and skin
I mean, they're not like a treasure map, so I don't think it would be necessary to do that.
Right,
you know?
Right. Or if necessary.
Oh God, grisly. Okay, yes. Well, anyway.
And episode 16 has new opening animation.
Right.
Starts with Draka.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It's not that different. I mean, it's different enough that you're like, wow, I haven't seen a lot of these things before, but this anime is really interesting in that the opening changes a little bit over and over again. It's really not that consistent. Like one of my favorite parts was how the scene where Jolenta's walking through the streets at night and all the lights turn on. After Jolenta disappears from the story, the lights all go out and she's not walking in the street anymore. And so like there are these minor changes to the opening sequence that are really cool. And over time you see some characters who you're like, who's that? But then later you're like, oh, I finally like know who that is now. So that's pretty cool too. And the new opening focuses more on Draka and Schmidt and like the other Heretic Liberation Front members, I think. As well as Draka's uncle, who's been in the opening since like the very beginning, even though like we never knew who he was. There's it's cool to see like those different pieces in there, you know?
And then there's a phrase you hear in this episode when it happens, like there's a family trying to escape from their town. The dad's brother came in and started talking, and they eventually killing the older brother.
Yeah.
And when the younger brother came, he said,
the younger brother is asking the older brother why they have to suffer and be poor. And the older brother's like, because that's the way the world is. We're peasants. The nobles do the fighting. And the younger brother's like, yeah, I get the nobles being rich because they're like the people who have to fight in the war. And I get us being poor, but like, what about the clergy? Like, the clergy aren't supposed to be rich. Jesus said it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. I remember reading some like a biblical interpretation that was basically like, there's a gate in the wall of Jerusalem, which is the smallest gate into the city. And it's known as the eye of the needle because of its small size. And so when Jesus says it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle, what he actually is saying isn't the totally physically impossible feat of a camel going through the eye of a needle used for sewing thread. He means if you're like a rich merchant and you're trying to get your camel with all its stuff on it through the gate in the wall of Jerusalem called the eye of a needle, like, it's not going to fit till you take some of the stuff off the camel because the gate's so small. And so that's possible. You can get a camel through that. I mean, I've never been there, and actually I know how big it is, but I assume you can actually get a camel through the eye of the needle, but you can't get it through with like a bunch of baggage on it. Like, you might have to take that stuff off and then bring it through, like just the camel. And that Jesus's message there is like, if you're rich, you should give away most of your money to the poor before you die, or you might not go to heaven because you're greedy. And so the younger brother quotes this Bible passage at the older brother as a way of saying the church is corrupt. So many people in the clergy are rich and powerful, and they're not supposed to be. I don't think they're behaving correctly, essentially. And it seems like the village is rebelling against the church and like burning the crosses and stuff. The dad is trying to get his family out of the town because he doesn't agree with what they're doing. And yeah, eventually the brothers get into conflict, and the younger brother kills the older brother. It's very Cain and actually, I guess Canaan is the older brother. It's a little bit Cain and Abel, although in this case, it's the younger brother killing the older brother rather than the other way around. Anyway, point being, yeah, that's what that quote is all about. And so in this part of the series, we're seeing a lot of rebellion against the church. And I think this is like my own interpretation, but I think the Heretic Liberation Front that appears in this segment of the story is probably kind of based on the Brethren of the Free Spirit, which was a group of Christians who were around in the 1300s ish, and continued through like up until like the 1400s, who had a lot of opinions and views that were very different from both the Protestants and the Catholics. And some of the philosophy that's articulated by Schmidt, the like captain of the Heretic Liberation Front, sounds pretty similar to some of the things that the Brethren of the Free Spirits like believed. So it's not a one-to-one. It's not exactly what they thought, but their sort of disagreements with the church. They still believed in God, but they had like a lot of disdain for the Catholic Church, and those things seem to go together with the group that's in the show.
All right, great job.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
All right, let's talk about episode 17. That's the beginning of a new chapter, chapter 3.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Does it have a title? Like chapter 3, something, something, something?
I don't remember. I think it's just said chapter 3.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the episode that Draka found the book.
Right.
Oxy wrote the book, and then Draka found the book in the drawer. And then there's a note, like she was trying to find who published this, or like who wrote this,
right,
or when it was published. But there was no information about that. But it says make sure to give money to Pototsuki,
right,
in case you make money out of it.
Right.
So it's a very like roman
story.
I don't know. Probably this is Japanese English.
No, it like all of these things come from the same root, but why are you saying it is a roman?
Because it is connected with people who sacrifice their lives for chidosetsu.
And you find that notion sort of romantic in the sense of being like all these people working together for a greater good is like very
they've
inspiring.
Never met before, but they have the same theories, and then they are like inheriting to whoever wants to inherit next.
Totally. I think a lot of the story is about that. This idea that like, ideas can't be killed and are passed from one person to another and one generation to the next. And yeah, I think, there's it's not romantic in the sense of like love between people, but it's sort of romantic in the sense of like a grand sweeping epic, like adventure or like a big notion or idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything about that episode?
Well, I think I want to talk about Draka's character a little bit in general. So it seems like Draka is meant to be a like a member of the Romani people, or a member of the Roma people rather, and that's sort of suggested through her skin color and also the description of her tribe, or her group, as being nomadic and sort of like scavenging things from cities. And the Romani did come through Poland, or the Roma came through Poland, and I think mostly converted to Catholicism, or at least the ones who stayed there did. And as other Western European nations persecuted Roma people more intensely, there was like more migration towards Poland, in a similar way to what happened with Jewish populations in medieval Europe. Anyway, it's not really clear that that's the case, but it certainly seems to be implied. And so I don't know. I don't feel like I can speak as an authority on whether this depiction is like reasonable towards Roma people or not, but it's an interesting choice to introduce this new character from like sort of a different cultural background than the other people we've seen so far, and make her like an important main character. It took me a while to understand that Draka was meant to be female. That didn't like jump out at me right away. Um, but it's cool that we now have another female character besides Jolenta in the show. Oh, and I need to like super go back and apologize for my comments in the last episode about Chi, where I was like, I don't think there are any famous Polish female astrologers, because that's not true. And in fact, there is a relatively famous Polish female astronomer, Elizabeth Katharina Koopman-Hevelius, who was married to Johannes Hevelius, who's also an astronomer, and the two of them worked together to like advance. I keep saying astrology, don't I? I mean, I guess in the time period, those two things weren't radically like separate yet, but they were astronomers, and they compiled like a bunch of observations of the stars. They documented the positions and relevant data for 1,564 different stars, according to Wikipedia, and then published a book. And the husband died, and she published afterwards based on their joint like work in doing this. So that's kind of a big deal. And I think she's not even like the only female Polish astronomer. I think she's one of them. There's another one whose name I'm blanking on right now, but who has like a statue dedicated to her in Poland. So
That's so cool.
yeah, so the character of Jolenta is more plausible than I thought. I still am going to go ahead and say I don't think it would have been likely that a girl in her position, meaning like apparently daughter of like a single father who was working for the Inquisition, would have had like this level of chances. Like, for example, Elizabeth Hevelius, she was like, the daughter of a rich merchant family, which is, and she was self-taught. Like she had access to enough Latin books to teach herself Latin.
Wow.
So that doesn't really feel like the kind of environment that the show is implying that Jolenta is raised in, but you know what? You never know. So anyway, putting it out there.
All right. And we just finished watching episode 18. That's the newest episode so far at this point. What did you think?
I still am like curious to see like where things are going. I mean, there's a big reveal at the end of episode 18 that, are we going to spoil it?
Yeah.
Okay. Jolenta's back, and now she's a middle-aged woman leading the Heretic Liberation Front. And I think the Heretic Liberation Front to me feels like the most ahistorical part of the show so far, because again, like, look, I've been shown to be like someone who doesn't know everything already this episode, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't a Heretic Liberation Front as like a historical thing in Poland. There were people who didn't like the Inquisition, and there were lots of people who, were tortured or killed by the Inquisition, although the Inquisition itself didn't really like to torture or kill people. And there were like rules about not doing those things, or like you could torture people, you could only torture them once. And so like, did individual people break those rules? Yeah, I'm sure they did. But also what usually happened in in situations with the Inquisition was the Inquisition would do like their questioning, and then they would hand people over to the secular authorities, meaning like the police or like the, magistrates or whatever, the justicars of the realm. Those people would take the denounced heretics or the confessed heretics, because a lot of times people were like, yeah, I'm a heretic, so what? Like, and then they would be put to death or tortured or whatever by the like people who served the king in that area. And so in Poland specifically, at least some of the Polish kings made confessing heresy a crime against majesty, being like, if you say you don't believe in the Catholic Church, that is personally offensive to me, the king, and I am going to punish you as the king for saying you're a heretic without the specific authority of the church. So it's like, all that to say, the Inquisition was probably not quite as like judge, jury, and executioner as they are depicted in the show. And Heretic Liberation Front, I think, is like a fiction for the sake of the story.
All right. So yeah, I'm excited about Jolenta being a leader.
Where do you think that's going to go?
Just the thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I just want to tell you, manga Orb is completed in 8 volumes.
Okay.
So it's done.
Okay.
Only 8 tankobon. We are on chapter 3, and there will be the last chapter in manga, at least.
Chapter 3 is the last?
No, there's a next chapter.
There's a chapter 4.
Chapter 4, but it's going to be the last chapter.
Okay.
There will be 25 episodes airing in total. I'm not sure if they're going to finish the whole story in 25 episodes.
You think it's going to be like 25 episodes and then Orb the movie?
No. Well, NHK wouldn't do that.
I don't think they're going to run another season.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, unless the next season is only like 3 or 4 episodes long, I think they are going to finish the story. Because we're on episode 18, and we're probably halfway, at least, through Draka's story. So I think Draka's story is going to get wrapped by episode 20 or 21 at the latest, and then you'll have the final chapter be like the last 4 episodes. Oh, also, I found the woman I wanted to talk about earlier.
Who?
Maria Kunitz, who was the first woman astronomer active in today's Poland. She was born in Silesia, and I think she probably spoke German rather than Polish. But yeah, she was a very, very brilliant female astronomer who's not even known for her work with her husband, just on her own. So she's awesome. Okay, there we go. Done.
I kind of read Wikipedia, and then I don't know if the story is gonna be just like a manga, but there's a explanation, and I'm sure if you already read Orb, you know what's going to happen in manga. But yeah, I'm very curious how it's going to end.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the opening theme song again.
Okay.
We already talked about opening and ending theme song when we talked about Orb for the first time, but we told them that the opening theme song Kaiju is not complete yet.
Right.
It was not complete yet.
Correct.
Now it is.
Hell yeah.
But it's not out on the internet.
Damn it.
The full version of Kaiju is played in the concert, which was first happened January 25th in Japan. So, and then it's a tour. The Sakanaction is going to have a tour. It's called Sakanaction. Sakanacrium. Sakana and the aquarium combined. Sakanaquarium 2025 Kaiju.
Okay.
So it's all about Kaiju, I think. And then they're going to keep playing, surprising audiences. And I think they're going to release the full version later. You know what? I found more about Sakanaction and their live because it's amazing.
Okay.
They have daycare. If you want to go to
the
their concert place has a daycare.
Oh my God.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes. That is amazing.
And they even have tickets for child and the parent tickets.
Ticket for the child to go to daycare plus for the parent to go to the concert?
I mean, if your child... Well, first of all, your child has to be older than elementary school, I think.
Okay.
And you can buy like combined tickets for you and your child
To go to the concert
to
together?
go to the concert. But if you want to leave your child, you can use their daycare service. I mean, you have to pay extra, but like when I Googled like how much they're gonna charge, it's like one place in Yamagata has like, oh, it's like 1 hour is like 500 yen.
Wow. That's 500 yen?
Yeah, and the other place in Sapporo offers like daycare. Says one performance, one concert,
Sure.
daycare is 2,200 yen.
Like $15?
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe a little bit more. Still, that's
during the live concert.
yeah, that's wild. I don't think you could get a babysitter for 1 hour for that much in America.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a thing in Japan. Having daycare at the live concert.
Yeah, I have never heard of that anywhere, actually.
But it's a great idea.
It is.
I think their Sakanaction's generation is like the generation started having family or kids, or like I think our generation.
They're like old enough to have kids, is what you're saying?
But like if you have little kids and no one can take care of them, like in the evening,
pretty awesome.
It's gonna make harder for fans to go.
That's true.
So I thought this was a really great idea. I don't know if similar things happens in America. I kind of doubt it.
I guess I don't know because I don't go to that many concerts.
This is the opportunity.
It would take like some persuading for me to feel comfortable dropping my kid off at a concert's daycare.
Yeah. Why?
I think like my image of like concerts and like concert adjacent things in the United States like involves like way too much drug use for me to be like comfortable with like the notion of like, oh, hi, here's like the daycare for the concert. Like leave your kids with us. Like if it was run by like an actual daycare something, like maybe, but like Americans are kind of like picky about their daycare, like you have to like go and check it out first. And like, do you trust this place?
Yeah,
and, like,
but
do you like
this
the
is for
philosophy,
one time. Yeah, but I understand what you mean.
Like I don't somehow like as an American, the notion of like leaving my kids with a babysitter, especially one who's like somebody I already know, like, a younger relative or like a student from like a school that I work at or, that somebody attends or, you know what I mean? Like somehow you like have a connection or like they live in your building and you've met them before. Like the idea of like just going to like a concert and like there being like some quote unquote daycare people there being like, we'll take your kid for like a couple hours. I'd be like, no, you won't. Like they're coming with me in the concert. I don't know. Isn't that weird? Like on the one hand, like daycare is a widespread thing in America. At the same time, like I don't know that I would trust people I'd never met before to take care of my kid for a couple hours, like next to a music venue.
Yeah, I think it'd be too expensive in America anyway.
It'd be both too expensive. Yeah, too expensive and just like I mean, maybe I'm like getting the idea of this wrong. Like if it's just and like I also think like daycares don't really operate at nighttime in America. Like.
Yeah, it doesn't end really late.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, I mean, I'm sure there are daycares that operate until like late for like families or parents who have like night shift jobs or something, but it's just like, this feels like a pop-up daycare, like it's not like a daycare that always operates that happens to be next to a music venue.
There's an agent company who runs the concert daycare.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm.
And the one in Yamagata is like they already have daycare. They always have the daycare right there at the concert hall.
It's a daycare that just happens to be next to a concert hall.
No, in the same building.
Okay.
Functioning as a daycare.
Okay, that makes that I would feel a lot better about that.
Yeah.
Like this is a regular daycare, and we're like paying the people like overtime to stay until the end of the concert. Yeah, like. Maybe, but again, like even I don't know, even like a daycare, like I would want to like before I like enrolled my kids in a daycare, I would want to like do a tour first to be like, what kind of place is this? Are the people who you like hire here qualified?
Oh, okay.
Don't you think?
I guess in America, yes. Not in Japan. I wouldn't do that.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't do it in Japan either. I would just be like, yeah, it's fine. Japan's safe. Everything's okay. But in America, I'd be like, I need to like vet this first. Otherwise, like, how do you know they're like not totally unlicensed? There are unlicensed daycares in America, and like that seems like mad shady to me.
All right. Okay. Interesting opinion. Anyway, I just wanted to say it's just so cool that
is very
they
cool.
decided to include this option.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's do word of the day.
Okay.
Today's word of the day is
I forgot. Tell me.
マジで Shinnen.
Oh, yes. Conviction.
Conviction.
But not in the sense of going to prison, in the sense of like a firmly held belief. This turned out to be a really good choice for episode 18 because there is a very long conversation between Draka and Schmidt about their beliefs in God and stuff and their convictions.
Also, the scene that Draka and her uncle were talking about when she was young, and the uncle was like, have a belief, a Shinnen.
Right.
And my Shinnen is like, I'm gonna like survive doing
no matter
whatever,
what.
no matter what.
No matter what it takes.
Which was true for him.
Yeah. Until he caught like a random sword to the neck.
It sucks.
Yeah, it was like the guy just flipped around. It wasn't even like trying to hit him. It just, nope, there goes your aorta.
Oh, no, it sucks for Draka.
That her uncle died?
I mean, he betrayed her, basically.
Yeah, that part sucked more than him dying, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Where he tried to like sell her to like the bishop. Like,
that's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instant karma, baby.
And then like Draka's Shinnen is making more money.
Yeah, which is also a terrible Shinnen, honestly.
Well, it might change. Yeah.
But she's like a pretty committed atheist, right? She doesn't believe in God at all.
That
and
was
like
really
the moment
funny.
where they like react and they're just like, I don't even understand what you're trying to say. You don't believe in God. And she's like, yeah, I thought you agreed with me.
Yeah.
is a very funny moment. Yeah.
Because it was totally new idea for him.
Yeah. And I mean, I think actually that's like a pretty legitimately real thing that most medieval people would have had a very hard time conceptualizing somebody who didn't believe in God at all. And you can tell he's in the Heretic Liberation Front, and he's still like, well, I don't know, but if you don't believe in God at all, maybe you're really a bad, like he like tries to assimilate that information, and it's difficult for him.
I was gonna ask you what's your Shinnen is, but I just found.
Oh, what is it?
Your Shinnen for anime is never skip opening and ending.
Yeah.
That's your Shinnen.
For anime watching.
Right.
Yes.
Because like you said it before, like for Orb, the opening changes quite a bit. I think each chapter
for sure each chapter, but I think even episode to episode, there's stuff that's different.
Yeah.
Like I think in episode 18, the shot of the town that Jolenta is in chapter 2, I'm pretty sure for a bunch of them, like all the lights are out. And then I think in this one, all the lights inside the houses are out, but there's a torch that's lit on the outside of one of the houses.
I even didn't notice.
Yeah. Well, I could be wrong. Maybe it's always like that, but I noticed the torch this time and hadn't before. And then it's like, the hope is still there, like that was my interpretation. Anyway, I'm not totally an absolutist about this. When the opening or ending theme song is really bad and the animation doesn't change at all, I sometimes don't watch it. But I almost always watch it unless I like really can't stand. Like there were some of those Steins Gate Zero ending theme songs where I was just like, I'm not listening to this again. I'm not going to watch like a CG of like a cell phone rotating while I listen to a song I don't even like for like a minute and a half, like not happening. But but I almost always watch all of the opening and ending.
Right.
I'll usually watch the opening even if I don't like it.
So that's your Shinnen.
It's one of them, yeah. What's your Shinnen?
Oh, my Shinnen?
Yeah.
My Shinnen is keep doing this podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. As long as I can. Well, until I get tired of it.
Okay. One of those sounds a lot longer than the other.
It's up to how it's going to turn out. I need more support from listeners to subscribe.
5 stars or else.
Exactly. It's a lot of commitment. It takes a long time to edit.
I think the editing is really the part that's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I like planning. I mean, even planning takes time.
Right.
But I decided to do this as long as I can. And then, grow the channel.
All right. Let's keep it up.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you liked this week's episode, please give us
5 stars.
5 stars or 4 could be.
And some nice comments.
Nice comment would be very nice for keep me going, for sure. Only nice comments, please. What?
Nothing. We would love any feedback, but
give us some feedback if you'd like. We have an email address that's written in the description, so you can send a message to us if you have any questions about our show, about us, or anything about history. We have an expert here.
Or you can correct me and be like, in your face, there's actually another famous Polish female astronomer.
Anything, it'll be fine. Yeah. Then I'll see you next time from 2 a.m. Otak. Bye.
Peace.